The firemen that walked into the building, they went in, they never came out. You know, I don't know what company they were, I don't know where they were from, but I held the door for them to get in and clear the way for them to walk to their deaths, basically. I was a New York City transit police officer. I started in 1992. I've now been retired 6 years due to my 9/11 injuries. I was assigned to the Broadway-Nassau station, Fulton Street, which is actually a block away from the World Trade Center. And as a transit police officer, we cover those calls for the World Trade Center. That's an actual assignment to me when you cover the Broadway-Nassau station. And it said over the radio, it came over unknown condition at the World Trade Center. As I ran towards the World Trade Center, people were pointing and screaming and shouting, that way, that way. I called for assistance on the radio and confirmed that a plane had hit the World Trade Center, you know, calling for other officers to respond, for assistance, for supervisors, and immediately went to Building 2, which we were closer to, Tower 2, and people were still coming out of that building, and we tried to just get people to calm down and to evacuate. At that point in time, there was no supervision there. I had called to alert them as to what was transpiring, and we just took initiative to stay there, and that area needed to be supervised in some way, shape, or form with the panic that was stricken and the debris in the area. So we just took it upon ourselves to just go into action. FBI was on the scene, and they had said before the second plane hit, there was about 10 police officers working the area with me. Big brawly guy, FBI, around, you know, shield around his neck, came up to us and said, you know, you're not a coward, you know, if you want to leave, there's more planes coming, we're under attack, you know, you're going to die if you stay here. And this came from an FBI agent. And I remember looking up at him and saying, "You kidding me, right?" And he's like, "No." He said, "We're under attack. It's terrorism." We were like, you know, okay, we're just going to continue. It's like we're making a choice. We're not leaving. That's our job. You know, that's why it was more important to get all these people to safety. So we stayed. When the second plane hit, I was inside the building, Tower 2. I actually got blown out of the building. I was in the near the elevator area evacuating people, and I was blown out of the building, you know, hit to the ground when the second plane hit. A big piece of metal had come down and like the size of a car hood and almost hit me. Blew me outside to where Borders bookstore was. Once I got up and I recovered and I was under there and all the debris had fell, the second plane had hit, and then we were told that there was a plane above us because we couldn't see that there was a plane above us, and that explosion was a plane had hit the building. But, you know, I never knew that because I didn't see that. I only knew that later on. So we just continued to evacuate people. Like there was a woman down in the basement level that she had cerebral palsy and she couldn't walk and she was trying to get out of the building, and I picked her up and I carried her out of the building, and I knew that we had to get her away from the area because there was more planes coming, because that's what the FBI had said. I was in shock mode. Like my strength to help and to do just blocked everything out. I wasn't like looking at it like that. Like I'm not gonna, you know, throw a woman over my shoulder and carry her out of a building. Yes, I was strong. Did I do it? Yes, I did, because you just do things that your body, you know, with the adrenaline do. You know, I walked that woman up the escalator, you know, the escalators aren't working, and walked her half a block, and I saw a real tall man in army fatigues. He was a National Guardsman. And I passed her off to him and asked him to continue, to take her to downtown Beekman Hospital. Tower 2 collapsed first. I was actually inside the building near the escalators when the tower collapsed. When the building imploded down, it blew me out of the building. and I was able to hold on to the doorway with my left arm. And people blew by me and under me and through me, and only with one arm did I hold on. And if you ever saw a cartoon with somebody midair holding on for their life, I was actually holding on for my life. And I was able to pull myself down, and I heard somebody to the right of me yelling at me, grab my hands, grab my hands. And I tried to feel for somebody because I couldn't see anything. You couldn't breathe, you know. And I pulled, and this person pulled back to me. So I pulled myself over to them. And we did the Chinese fire drill thing and held on to each other like we were taught when you were kids for the Chinese fire drill. And then there was total silence. But I was laying under all of this debris with a guy, a man. And I had no idea he was a police officer. I had no idea who he was. And his name is Richie Vitale, and he worked for Manhattan Traffic at the time, and I found all this out afterwards. But him and I crawled out of the building together. We were trapped, and the only part of the building standing was a very small piece of cement where Richie and I were. This is a picture. The woman on Richie's arm was standing with her hands up in the air, and her statement was, "Where's my pocketbook? I lost my pocketbook." She was in shock. She, you know, besides psychological injuries, she wasn't physically injured. Don't know where she was or where she came from. And we just grabbed her and said, you know, you need to come with us. We need to get out of here. Richie and I walked down this one area, and he saw a cop that he knew, and this cop said, "Come into this building. Clean up, come into this building, you're safe in here." I don't know where the building was. I don't know how far from the site it was, but we went into the building. And as soon as we got into the building, he falls down and collapses, clutches his chest, and I think he's having a massive heart attack. These two other guys come, grab him, drag him into the building, take off his vest, his shirt, start giving him oxygen, giving him first aid. And I'm yelling at him, "You can't die on me, I don't even know your name." You know, it's like, you know, it was horrible. And finally, hours later, an ambulance came, and there was all firemen and cops, and I was the only woman, and we got on this bus, and they took us up to St. Clair's Hospital. And on the way, we're sharing an oxygen tank. Like, what good is this really going to do us? There's really nothing left in it, you know. But we're passing around like we were, like, you know, passing a bottle. It was, yeah, there was nothing in it. I did not psychologically realize the tower collapsed. That was a big issue for me. I didn't accept the fact that the towers fell, and I just didn't understand that the towers fell and that I was in it when it collapsed. And January of 2003 is when I actually realized what happened to me. When they did an awards ceremony for the police department, and I got the Medal of Valor for what? Saving all those people and all those people that died, whatever. You know, I'm like, I took the piece of paper and I threw it at my commanding officer, and I said, "You've got to be kidding me." I said, "I'm not accepting this." And he's like, "You have to." I'm like, "No, I don't have to." So I was actually ordered to go to this ceremony. I'm like, "I don't want to go. I don't accept it. I don't. He's like, "You have to go." And I remember being in there looking up and watching them and seeing all the cops around and everything. And then I remembered. What happened to me. And then it kicked in, and I was like, "Oh my God."